Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to the first of three Planet FPL Clash to Correspondents during this wonderful final winter lull of 2025. And it's an encounter between two sides in the Northwest on this one. Firstly, let me introduce you to a man who promises not to go 5 wins before he has a haircut. It's our Manchester United correspondent. It's Alex Trembath.
Hi James, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you, mate. And a man also on the away end this week who's just delighted that his team had a good result this weekend. It's our Everton correspondent, Sean Norton. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. Yeah,
Good
thank you.
man. Right, Alex, last time we spoke was before the Manchester derby. It didn't go well, but in the build up to it, you were quite calm about Amorim. There was a lot of noise at the time and a lot of concern, and it got even louder, obviously, the Manchester derby. But it's very quiet now, isn't it?
It is, and it's obviously a very different situation to when we last spoke. And the other important context from that last podcast was that it was just a few days after we'd gone out of the League Cup to Grimsby, of course, as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, not just in the Manchester United fandom, but in general, felt that we were maybe 2 or 3 games away, one or two bad results away from a manager change. I wasn't sure whether that would happen anyway, even if we had bad results. We've seen the owners talking since about how the idea of 3 years being a period on which to judge Ruben Amorim. But overall, we're obviously in a much better place now. Let's be honest, we're a long, long way from where we ideally want to be. There's still lots of problems that we need to fix, but we are 5 games unbeaten now. Finally got the monkey off our back with the two wins in a row. But we do have a lot of problems to fix. I'm extremely worried about what will happen during the AFCON period when we lose Mbeumo and Ahmad in particular, but also Mazraoui, who's a very important versatile player who can cover various roles. But yeah, we're in a much better place. We're level on points with fifth. We're 2 points, I think, behind second now. Um, we're well among the race for European places, and the fact that we won't be playing midweek every week, that we're going to have that extra build up time for games, should from here on become more and more of an advantage. So I'm feeling fairly positive, but at the same time quite pragmatic about it as well.
No, fair enough. And Sean, how you feeling about Everton 13th? Like, it doesn't feel great, but actually a closer inspection says like you're only 5 points off a third. Like it's very congested at the moment, and a couple of games could have gone the other way, and you'd be sitting like comfortably top half, same position as United at the moment.
Yeah, I'm the performance is just sort of. It feels all very like just real hard work, scoring goals. Um, so yeah, it doesn't feel great. It just feels like a bit of a slog. Um, but I think some of that's just because didn't really do in the summer what a lot of us would do. So what they
Elaborate
did
on
do.
that. What was it that the club needed to do in the window then?
Well, I think it's very obvious for anyone watching Everton over the last few years under all the various managers that we've had. Okay, we know we've been restricted in spending, but now we can spend a little bit. So I think we're crying out for pace in the team and like modern fullbacks. So to not get them in was just it's just very disappointing because it's like we're restricting ourselves with Mikalenko at left back and carrying on with O'Brien at right back. He'd done a good job last year, but everyone thought it was just going to be, a stopgap until Moyes could get his own fullbacks in. So to go out and actually spend money on a left back and he's nowhere near involved, and it looks like he probably won't be for
You're talking about Asnu for those who don't
definitely.
know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Adam Asnu. Just feels like he's a bit of a Chelsea type signing. By somebody they never play and then they get flogged on for a profit like 2 years down the line after a couple of loan spells, and that's clearly not what we need. And Tierno Barry's another one that falls into that category of is he what this team needs right now? And he probably isn't. So Jack Grealish was a obviously he's a top individual player, but I'm just not convinced. I think there was better ways of improving the Everton team than getting Jack. But he's a wonderful player.
Yeah, I'm intrigued in that because on Grealish particularly, because he obviously gives you something that you didn't have, the ability to retain, carry, get you up the pitch without doing a lot, right? He just absorbs people towards him. But you're almost saying that wasn't the right type of signing, almost.
Well, yeah, I mean, when Moyes come in last year, he done really, really well in a short space of time because the whole fan base was just really frustrated with, Sean Dyche's lack of any attempt to play any offensive football whatsoever. And it was literally Pickford just booting the ball to an isolated striker all the time. And then, Moyes got us playing like, it was direct football, but it was quick. We were getting up the pitch quick, and we were looking dangerous. We looked good defensively. We looked like a solid team, hard to break down. So we were a tough side to beat. I don't really quite understand why he's now wanted to change that and become a possession-based team that push high up the pitch. And then because we've got Jack, everything's just slow. He slows everything down. So as good as he is, the opposition can just get men behind the ball really easily, and then there's no space anywhere, and we're struggling to pick players out because they're surrounded all the time. I mean, the game against yourselves, you win that 3-0. It was never a 3-0 game in a million years, but we never really created quality chances, and you defended, you defended deep, defending numbers, and most teams are doing that against us, and we don't really look like ever creating top chances. It's just like I say, it feels like a slog, and we're wide open then because we've got Tarkowski and Keane high up the pitch on many occasions. So it's just, the game against Manchester United, I hope we don't play like that because they're really good on the counter-attack, and I just think they'll cut through us really easily. They'll exploit the space that we leave.
So you'd want to go to United and almost cede possession, sit off 10
Yeah,
yards deeper, etc.
Sit deep, sit tight. Just I know fans sometimes have a big gripe about going away from home and sitting in and stuff, but I'd be quite happy for Everton to go to United and play like you did when you come to our place, and then pick your moments, try to get something on the counter attack. But like I say, we're just not geared up to play like that now, and I think that builds into like why Beto's struggling this season, because this way of possession football and everything goes out wide doesn't really suit him at all.
Whereas they very much in that kind of February, March period played to his strengths, right?
Yeah, we were, yeah, and that was when he looked a bit of a threat. So yeah, it's just a mixed bag, on the face of it, 15 points after what is it, 11 games now. It's not crap. It's half decent. We could have had a few more points. I mean, God, you go back to last season, I think it was another 10 games on from now before we had 4 wins. So you've got to sometimes progress.
Something about Rome wasn't built in a day and all that kind of gig, right?
Exactly. But then you see what the likes of Sunderland are doing, don't you?
It's also, Sunderland's a good point. Like everyone's obviously seen the game that they gave Arsenal at the weekend, very much playing to their own strengths. And while he was talking, I was just thinking it's quite intriguing. The majority of the teams in the league are playing more direct football, and actually you're trying to move away from some of your strengths. It's quite intriguing, actually.
Yeah.
And Alex, your best win of the season was obviously at Liverpool, and you were unapologetically direct, picking up second balls off of Van Dijk and Konate's headers. You must be quite encouraged for the Everton game based on what Sean's saying there, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, I agree with what Sean said, that it will be a much harder game for us if Moyes kind of reverts to type, if you like. And I think a bit about the game at Goodison last season, which I think is the only time that Amorim has played against Everton, when we didn't have a shot on target until I think Fernandes scored a free kick on around 70 minutes. We're little bit better equipped now to break down a side that just sits in like that. Like we've got Cunha, who's decent on the ball in tight spaces, and obviously Bruno Fernandes, who can make things happen. But if Everton come to Old Trafford, and we've been a lot better at our place as well. So we've won 5 of our last 6 home games. If Everton come and try and play that kind of press a bit higher up the pitch, I think we've got players like Mbeumo and Ahmad who can really hurt them and get them behind there. I am also concerned about Everton's threat in terms of balls into the box. We've been particularly vulnerable with that this season, I think. I think Everton scored 4 goals yesterday from crosses into the box. I know they didn't all count, but I think that's another area where, and especially because Harry Maguire potentially injured. I haven't heard the news, but it looked like he went off with a hamstring injury. I expect he would have been playing to sort of combat that threat from balls into the box and just box defending in general. So yeah, I think I think a more pragmatic approach for Everton, I would be more concerned about. But I guess let's see what happens. I think David Moyes is a lot more tactically astute than he's often given credit for. And I think I never feel confident going into a game against a Moyes side, put it that way. So yeah, I think they'll come and cause us problems.
Is that a consequence of the fact that he managed you?
To some extent, I mean, I think it took him a long time to shake off that. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, even it was in many ways a poison chalice. Whoever took over from Ferguson.
Some might say it still is.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, even if we'd appointed Jurgen Klopp at the time, who knows? It might have been a disaster for him as well. Like it took him a long time to turn his reputation around. If David Moyes had done what he'd done over a few seasons at West Ham, where he was getting close to the Champions League space, if he'd been a manager in his early 40s at the time, he would have probably been on the shortlist for the bigger clubs. But yeah, you know, he's and to be honest, I mean, I'd be interested in Sean's thoughts on this. I think there might be a danger point coming soon down the road for Everton when Moyes was appointed, I think it was seen as quite a pragmatic. I've used the word pragmatic, I think, 3 times on this pod now. Sorry, but
don't worry, the whole league's pragmatic at the moment, Alex. Honestly,
I think it was seen as an appointment to steady the ship, but not the long term appointment for what might be the next level for Everton. And he's, as you say, done a very good job, ensured safety last season, got the team playing very well, good disciplined football. But the owners, the Freaking Group, the little I know about them, I think they've changed manager at Roma 3 times this season. Since they took over Cannes in France a couple of years ago, they've changed manager 3 times. So, like, at some point, there'll be a difficult patch. And even this next coming fixture, and now where you've got United, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Arsenal, Bournemouth in the next 6. Like, if you were to hit January and suddenly be looking, oh, are you in a bit of trouble? That might be a danger point for Everton where the owners might think about making a change, and I think that would be dangerous because I think he is still a very reliable pair of hands, and yeah, you know what I mean.
Sean,
yeah,
reaction to that? Let's hypothetical here. You lost 5 of the next 6. I think they've read the room on what Everton fans want. That's my outsider's view, so I don't think that.
Alex is right. I mean, there is before yesterday's win, there was a growing number of people who were grumbling and sort of starting to talk about Moyes maybe moving on. I think, but this is in the entire time Moyes has ever been Everton manager. No one's ever been too far away from like wanting him out because it's just the type of manager he is. He doesn't ever really openly come out and talk in a tactical way. So, he leaves himself open to criticism because people question, how good he is tactically. And like Alex, I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. It's not his way to come out and talk about it. But we've played really good football in different spells under Moyes, and he's as good at getting out, the best of whatever he's got available to him. It's just he's got a bit of a history of struggling with strikers, and because of the fact that he's took over a squad that struggled to score, and then we've gone out and spent decent money on Tierno, Barry, Tyler Diblin. Barry's not scored yet. Diblin's not getting a look in. Still struggling to score goals. And then the results, as soon as the results start, like the wins start drying up, he's just always going to be open to people having a pop at him and wanting a more modern, younger, fresher approach. So I think the Friedkin group got him in a bit like they got Ranieri in at Roma, just to, get the thing going in the right direction and take a bit of pressure off. I'm not sure how many of these signings. I mean, Moyes has to sort of verify them or, give the thumbs up to them, but they do seem longer
Not his,
term.
or not his almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they've got like a transfer committee now, but it's like
I can imagine David Moyes, I bet, push for Jack Grealish, for example.
yeah, you can see that. But I think there's an element of he only signed a 2.5 year contract, and he comes out and says, he knows he's not going to be there for years and years this time round. So I don't know how much of it is him trying to. He spoke about the new stadium and the importance of having a team that plays good football and sort of befitting of the new surroundings and stuff. And I don't know. I just get the feeling he might be trying to fast track things, and because he's conscious that he only signed a 2.5 year contract. And when was that?
I think to flip that, a lot of the neutral reaction when he signed the 2.5 years was surprise that Everton had offered him 2.5 years. I think most of us thought it would be sort of 18 months at the most, or maybe even just to the end of the season until he got you out of trouble and then reassess. So I think it's understandable that it wasn't like a 5 year deal.
Oh yeah.
Returning.
I mean, exactly. It was never going to be that. But I just mean, sort of. I knew he was never going to come. He wasn't going to come if it was a really short term deal, like as an interim manager, which a lot of people sort of thought it might be. But I don't know how much of it is just trying to. Run before you can walk. Probably not the right thing.
I know what you're saying. He's trying to almost progress the club faster than maybe it should be currently happening, almost in the way he would want to do it. I think that's what you're trying to say a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like I say, it's like, okay, I understand wanting to play better football, but when he was here the first time, we started playing better football, obviously, when you start getting better players. And I think to play possession-based football where you have not got fullbacks who are modern-day fullbacks and can get up and down the pitch and have got good quality on the ball. And I think this is why it made such a difference playing James Garner at right back against Fulham.
This is what I'm going to ask you. Yeah,
I think there was that little bit of pressure starting to build because we hadn't, come back from the international break, the last one, having beaten Crystal Palace, but then we went to Man City and got beat. Obviously, we got beat by yourselves, and then we don't beat Sunderland, having been really good for half an hour, and then quite quickly, because of how congested the table is, you drop down, and we went from 7th or 8th to looking over our shoulder within the space of 2 to 3 weeks. So I think he was well aware that he needed to get a win, and so it's no surprise to me that suddenly Jake O'Brien misses out, and James Garner is in. So he clearly knows that O'Brien definitely restricts us from an offensive point of view.
When, for those who don't know, me and Sean met up prior to the Everton Tottenham game. You said to me you thought Michael Keane might not be secure, and I think that was off the basis of saying, well, Garner may well end up going to right back here. Then it's Tarkowski +1. He's obviously decided at the moment Michael Keane's his guy, and I'm sure those who are on him are delighted with that, and it'll probably stick. But yeah, James Garner is going to massively help your ball progression, mate, playing from right back. Against us, you had Mikalenko moving into like left half 10 positions. It was weird. He was like, he was used like a dummy. I was like, this is fine. I don't want Grealish going into that area. You can go into that area. Okay. I see what you've done here, Alex. We spoke so much about Amorim last time he was on. It was like, you were like, yeah, let's deflect. So I'm going to deflect back to you now. You want to talk about players going to AFCON. and the potential impact. Go on, then. Floor is yours.
This is a very difficult moment coming down the road for us quite soon now. So a lot of the improvement we've seen over these last few weeks, obviously, Bryan Mbeumo has very much become our talisman. He scored 4 goals in the last 4 games. Even before that, he was looking very, so even going back to the Burnley game, how he was really important as the outball then. He has very quickly become quite talismanic for us. He is the focal point of our attack. And he's also built up a very significant understanding with Ahmad on the right-hand side. The first goal against Liverpool, of course, the goal against Spurs yesterday, albeit a little bit differently with Mbeumo playing on the left for some reason yesterday.
Strange, yeah.
But those two are going to be a huge loss, and it's really beginning to expose the weakness we have in depth right now as well, because we're losing Nusa Mazraoui as well, who can play in either of the wide centre-back positions. He can play as either of the wing-back positions, and we're going to be really down to our bare bones in terms of, Patrick Dorgu has not really kicked on as we would have wanted him to this season. I think there is a player there we can develop, but he's quite far away from being the level that we need to be a starting wing-back for us in this system. Diogo Dalot is dependable. I don't think he's going to be a long-term... I don't think he's the right long-term solution for us in this setup, but we're going to be very reliant on those two staying fit through that period. Just in terms of the actual fixtures, so in terms of FPL, there are some really good fixtures in that run, because we have 2 games against Wolves Wolves is game week 15 before we get to AFCON. The first game of the AFCON period is game week 17, when we go away to Aston Villa. And that happens on the same day as Morocco's first game. So Mazraoui definitely misses that game. We've put in a request for Bryan Mbeumo to play against Villa in game week 17, and he plays for Cameroon 3 days after that. I would expect we'll probably come to an agreement on that. There's the precedent that Andre Onana played.
Is it a bit different with a goalkeeper, though?
I guess it is. But he missed Cameroon's first game. Onana. He actually missed their first game of the tournament and played for United against Spurs. But I guess the fact you've already got that relationship.
There's also a joke in here, isn't there? Maybe Cameroon were quite happy with that and not that bothered.
Well, we hadn't seen the worst of him by that point.
And Mbeumo, come, we need you.
Onana's going to be quite important in making sure Mbeumo comes back home quickly. So anyway, so. And I haven't heard
Tottenham Hotspur legend Andre Onana, mate. Love him.
Well, there hasn't been any similar news on Amad Diallo. So Amad and Mbeumo are in the same AFCON group, and they have fixtures on the 24th, 28th, 31st.
Yeah, so Diallo's first game is not till the 24th either, but we're not aware of a request going in for Amad Diallo at the moment, right?
Yeah, and I don't... Is that because we can cope without him better than we can without Bryan Mbeumo, or I don't really know, but it looks like who knows? We might hear news in the next week or two, but I would assume at the moment that Diallo will not be available in game week 17. We're without all of those players in game week 18 and 19, which are both home games against Newcastle and against Wolves. The Newcastle game is huge, obviously. The Villa and Newcastle games, these are sides that we're hoping to compete with for Champions League places, really. Then game week 20 and 21 are away at Leeds and Burnley. If any of our players progress beyond the groups at AFCON, they'll probably miss both of those games as well, because the last 16 of AFCON is on the 3rd to 6th of January. Our games in game week 20 and 21 are on the 4th and 7th of January, I believe. So
I think you've just got to rule them out of those two, mate.
Exactly. And if any of our players make the semis, then they'll miss the Manchester derby in game week 22 as well. So there really is... Yeah.
But actually, looking at it from a neutral perspective, I think you'd say, right, so okay, you're going to lose Matt Swarry, probably maybe wouldn't have started Villa anyway. Ahmad, okay, bit of a disappointment. Even if Mbeumo goes, okay, right, it's Villa away, but the four fixtures afterwards, Newcastle at home, Wolves at home, Leeds away, Burnley away. From the wing back perspective, as long as they're fit, surely you can get away with Dalu and Dorgu for those four fixtures.
Uh, you would hope so, but
And you might even be in a position you can use Shaw ahead of Lisandro Martinez, a different example as well.
Shaw playing as a left wing back has crossed my mind. I feel like that would be an absolute emergency break option.
But
I
it
kind
might be
of
where you land over that period.
It could be because we don't really have many other options. So yeah, I mean, if Dallo got injured, for example, and we've seen Dorgu play on the right before, so you could have Dorgu right and Shaw left. I mean, there probably are ways that we can stumble through these, but if we get any other injuries anywhere else in the side, I mean, I'm terrified about the idea of Casemiro being
I,
injured because,
I think you should be grateful that those are your fixtures rather than it's
yeah,
City at home, Arsenal away, Liverpool at home. Sure, yeah, these are fixtures I think should be manageable. And obviously, Diallo or Bumo's right-sided forward kind of ideal, but then we haven't seen that at the weekend in terms of Diallo dropped back deeper and then Bumo still stayed as the left-sided forward. So we don't know at the time recording what the prognosis on Benjamin Sesko's knee injury might be bad potentially. But you can always shove Fernandez back into the front three, right? There's different things you can do. Surely for those 4 weeks, I think you'll be able to manage it better than most, actually. I mean, I would argue that for Sean's team, I presume Iliman and Ndiaye and Idrissa Gana Gueye are going to disappear, Sean.
Sadly.
And I would
Mm.
say that's a bigger blow. And by the way, over those same 4 weeks that you, sure, Alex, have got Newcastle, Wolves at home, Leeds away, Burnley away, Everton have got the best four fixtures of the lot in the whole
Yeah.
league. They're way top of my ticker over that period. Burnley away, Forest away, Brentford at home, Wolves at home. So again, you could say, oh, it's manageable, but Sean's team doesn't have the individual quality that your team's got. And now looking at fixtures, you go, well, very winnable. And it's like, oh, this might come off of a run where we're saying there's a very bad run of fixtures. And then two of the best players in the team disappear. I think it's going to be harder for your team, Sean.
Yeah, I agree.
What do
Yeah,
you
I'm not.
do over that period with no Ndiaye and no Gay? I mean, Irogbenham probably plays a lot. Garner goes
But,
back into midfield and we try and get
but
McNeil or
well,
Diblin in the team, I suppose.
this is what's concerning about, again, why I just ask questions about why we signed the players that we did in the summer. And like Diblin's just not really had a look in. And when he did have a couple of appearances, I couldn't quite believe I was looking at the same player. As I saw play for Southampton, and people were raving about him. Um, he looked dreadful. He looked absolutely dreadful. Dwight McNeil has looked absolutely dreadful whenever he's got on the pitch. Like he come on against Sunderland, like when Ndie's going off to AFCON. What? Why is he bringing Dwight McNeil on and not Tyler Diblin at that? You got to get
There
him
could have
some
been
minutes.
something, in fairness, there
I,
could have been something in that in terms of the physicality of the opponent. Even if you look at Arsenal at the weekend, didn't make the sort of subs would normally make. Like a lot of them younger players, like he didn't bring them on into that environment at Sunderland. So I get that. It might have been that if it had been a different fixture, it would have been Diblin maybe.
I don't know. I mean, he spoke about like Dwight McNeil doing well in training. So does that mean that Tyler Diblin isn't?
But
But
you
but
could read
then
that between the lines.
you know what I mean. So it's just I just find it. I just think it's peculiar that we've spent a lot of money on somebody that's not getting any minutes, and Dye's going to go off to the African Cup of Nations, and he plays for one of the best teams, doesn't he? So they're probably going to go deep into the competition, and we haven't really got anyone that can come in for him that
And
you've got confidence
Gay will
about.
be a big miss as well, mate. He's
Gone
still
again,
doing it,
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
he?
yeah. He is, yeah. I mean, he gets stick off fans. He doesn't seem to be allowed to have one or two, poorish games without people getting on his back and going on about his age. But yeah, the fella's one of the best um, signings we've made for what we paid for him and stuff.
Twice.
The two spells at the club, yeah, he was my man of the match against Fulham. Thought he was absolutely outstanding. As good as Keane and Dewsbury all played, I thought Garner didn't put a foot wrong. He covers so much of the pitch. He really does.
Yeah, I can already see now that period, Sean. People are going to have 4 or 5 transfers in hand, looking at your fixtures in game week 18. So I've got to buy Grealish, haven't we? Like, there's nowhere else that I can see people taking a plunge there on Grealish at that point, because there might
Because
not
they're
be
like,
anything else Everton to look at. There will definitely be a consequence that people look at their defensive assets. So I want to come back on to that, because I think it's worth saying, Alex, for your team, yes, there's some good fixtures over that AFCON period, but it's good fixtures now as well. I've got you second on my ticker across the next 5. Everton at home, Palace away, West Ham at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home. It's a good cluster of 5 fixtures. We, I think, even look at you now and say, well, capability there for United is possibly sort of 12, 13 points from this sort of run. Certainly, at least, really, you'd want to get to at least sort of 2 points per game, I think, from those fixtures. There are people on wildcard now, Alex. Tell me, please, between Mbeumo, Fernandes, and Cunha, is it definitely Mbeumo at the moment, or do people have to look elsewhere because, well, I've got to sell him in 4 weeks or so?
I still think Mbeumo is the clear standout, and have a plan to move. I mean, obviously having the 5 extra transfers in game week 16 helps a little bit with that. But Mbeumo, I think, is just going to have the highest share of our goals. With Fernandes, I mean, I said in the preseason pod how he's like the choice for pragmatic managers, but also his defcons haven't been hitting quite as frequently as people maybe thought. I think he's hit it 3 times in the 11 games. And I'm just not sure. And he's also a little bit of an awkward price point as well, because he's in this kind of almost semi-premium. In fact, he's getting closer and closer in Mbeumo as Mbeumo rises. But I still think that the cost difference is enough that Mbeumo would be the choice for me. Cunha, I've gone a little colder on as an FPL asset.
And you like him as well. You really liked him at Wolves, I know.
Yeah, but and I thought he started very, very brightly in the first 2 games until he got the hamstring injury. I think there's a lot more for him to come yet, and I wonder if that AFCON period will actually be a moment when he can step into the limelight a little bit and step on a little bit. He didn't have a very good game yesterday against Spurs.
He's quiet.
Yeah, he's not. Like, for example, he had a superb game against Liverpool, but not in an FPL sense. He made himself a nuisance. He had a superb second half where he was just getting hold of the ball, getting us up the pitch a little bit, and taking the heat off. But he hasn't looked like he's going to be scoring lots of goals so far. And I can see a little bit why Wolves fans sometimes got frustrated with him in terms of some decision making, in terms of taking shots from distance when he had better options. And I know I think he scored more goals from distance than any other player last year, but you can't just rely on that. So
his 1 goal for you's been outside the box as well, mate.
It was a great goal, but he's had a lot of attempts. I think he was unlucky not to score in the first 2 games, but I'm not so sure about him as an FPL asset. I'd want to see it a little bit more ahead of AFCON. I might move Mbeumo to Cunha when AFCON arrives because I own Mbeumo myself. Yeah, this is a good run of fixtures. This whole extended period. But yeah, of those 3, I guess I would order them: Mbeumo, Bruno, Cunha.
So you'd go Bruno over Cunha still at this moment. You'd pay a million or so extra, yeah?
Just about, yeah.
It's 1.2 extra. Yeah.
Is it 1.2 now? I thought, is Bruno 8.9 now?
Cunha, sorry, my eyes have deceived me. It is 1 million. Sorry.
Yeah, and they're the only assets from our side. I mean, I wouldn't touch our defensive assets until we sign a midfielder and until Lisandro Martinez is playing regularly.
So I'm going to wildcard in 13. I'm not sure on Mbeumo, just in the sense of the Palace away game 13. I feel like I can take it or leave it. Then there's the 3 good fixtures that I know that I've got. We're all going to have spare transfers over that period inevitably. I can see if I do end up with Mbeumo, definitely ending up with Cunha. And I'm a Fernandes owner at the moment. I can't see him staying for me. Like, he's doing fine. I just need a little bit more for what he is. And I think Mbeumo is providing more at a cheaper price at this moment and looks more likely to go off massive in any one particular game. So I agree with you. I take issue with the fact you're saying that there's maybe no other options to consider, though. Is Casemiro going right under everybody's radar at 5.5 at the moment, mate? He's got more points than Ahmad. He's got nearly double the points to Cunha.
I was going to
He's
say
only
that
got
actually.
three less than Fernandes.
I was having a look at him earlier, actually. And if he had been a 5.0 midfielder, he would be right on my radar. I think the fact you've got Xhaka and Cullen, who are cheaper. But the thing with Casemiro as well, I mean, you'll have games like yesterday where he gets 5 points because he's hitting DEFCON a lot. And he's getting a lot more clean sheets than we are as a team because he goes off and then we concede. So like he kept a clean sheet yesterday. He kept a clean sheet against Liverpool, then went off. He's got 3 FPL clean sheets this season. He's had 2 other games where he went off around 55 minutes with us not conceding. The last time we conceded a goal in a first half with Casemiro on the pitch was game week 1 against Arsenal.
That's a remarkable stat.
Yeah. So he is, and to be honest, it is beyond negligent that we did not address the midfield issue in the summer. But Casemiro as an FPL option, yeah, I don't hate it because he's going to play every game. He's probably going to, he's averaging about 65 to 70 minutes when he starts. He will get the occasional attacking return, as we've seen. He's just hit a couple of hauls in the last couple of game weeks. So yeah, I don't, if you're on wildcard, I guess that is an option. I would probably, for structure, I would probably go for something maybe a little bit cheaper. But
it's not great at that value.
Yeah, and I guess with Xhaka, for example, the fixtures are getting pretty horrendous now. So,
what would you say was your worst performance of the season in the league?
I mean, I go straight to Brentford in my mind, although
he was suspended.
He was, yeah, and he didn't play at City. He didn't start. He didn't play at City because it was just after the international break.
Correct.
Yeah.
Those are your 2 worst performances of the season, aren't they?
Yeah, we've scored. He's been on the pitch for about 60% of our game time. We conceded 5 goals with him on the pitch and 13 goals with him without him.
He has 5 attacking returns, by the way, as well. Like he does chip in.
Yeah. Another thing I'd say is I don't think the fact that I don't think it's all just down to Casemiro being on the pitch. I think we are struggling to control games when they get to the latter stages, when other sides make changes, when the game state changes, when one of the sides is chasing. We're struggling to control games in that situation. It's not just about Casemiro being on the pitch.
Ugarte, unfortunately, is a big downgrade, though, mate.
Yeah, but I think Ugarte just isn't really suited to playing in a 2-man midfield. I know he did it at Sporting, but I think he had a more conventional defense, like a more sort of rounded defensive central midfielder alongside him as well. Whereas I don't like Ugarte playing in a midfield pair where he is the fall for Bruno Fernandes just doesn't work. I mean, I think he could be pretty decent in a 3-man midfield, Ugarte, but we need a bit of an all-action defensive midfielder who can do what Ugarte does, cover ground, make tackles, but also is confident receiving the ball with back to goal, confident on the ball, so and can pass without giving the ball away. So, yeah, I think we will address that in January. I would expect we will, because it's become painfully obvious that is just a dire need for us right now.
Yeah, he almost feels at the moment that it's a psychological thing as well, that he'd almost probably, bar Fernandes, be the worst player that could get injured for you at this moment.
I think it'd be worse than Fernandes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's intriguing. What United have you got at the moment, Alex?
I have Mbeumo, and that's it.
Wildcard played or not?
Wildcarded in 10. Before that, because I started the season with Cunha and Dorgu, which both didn't go very well. But yeah, in terms of our defenders, like we're not going to keep clean sheets.
You talked up De Ligt quite a bit.
Yeah, but we're just not going to keep clean sheets. He is going to get DEFCON. So he's in the 11 games, he's hit DEFCON 4 times. He's been 1 away from it 3 other times. So he is going to hit DEFCON fairly often, and he will get the occasional goal like we saw yesterday.
Even more so maybe with Maguire not available.
Yeah, and I think he's better for DEFCON when he's playing the central centre-back, I think. Yeah. So, but I wouldn't go there just because we're not going to be reliable. We've kept 1 clean sheet all season at home to Sunderland. In January, I might reassess that once Lissandro Martinez is back and playing regularly, and once we've fixed the central midfield shortfall. But until then, I wouldn't look at it.
So if you had your time back now, and obviously you've just come out of 2 away games at Forest and Tottenham, if you were wildcarding again now, would it still be the same, just Mbeumo?
Oh, right. So if I was wildcarding in game week 12,
Yeah, now.
yeah. Just Mbeumo.
Okay. Fixtures are good, mate. Sean, what United you got?
Don't think I've got any.
Any plans? I mean, they are playing your team next. That's normally a good reason for you.
No, I don't think so. Because I know Fernandez is the one to have. He always does well against Everton. But
Oh, I'm not selling him before playing. Yeah, he's one reason not to wildcard. Yeah,
no, you should.
I'll
Well,
wait an extra week, mate. I think.
you should probably captain him.
Well, that's interesting. Just on that, Haaland, I guess, moving into 12 with City playing Newcastle away. I know Newcastle are having difficulties at the moment, but St James's Park is a beast of a place to go. If you are going to take him on, this is the sort of week to do it. Any consideration, Alex, for Fernandez or Mbeumo for the armband in 12?
I have thought about it. I've been a lot more. Do you know what? I'm going to use the word pragmatic again.
Good man.
I've been a lot more. I'd say I've played it safe a lot more than I usually do this season with captaincy. I often lean towards taking a high upside risk, but I've been on Haaland the last few weeks. This is the 1 week to go for something different if you're going to, assuming people who are owning Haaland. There may be a few out there who don't, who still don't, but I am considering Mbeumo or I'm considering Mateta. But yeah, it's I think I probably will take a punt on it this week. But whether I go for Mbeumo or Mateta, it's pretty close.
I'm tempted to go Fernandez because the game's on a Monday night. So when I do the game review podcast, I won't know if it's good, bad, or shit. So I can just hide away from whatever the result is. Seems like quite a good idea to me. Sean, what Everton you got?
No one.
Any plans?
No.
Okay. What do you say to particularly Ndiaye owners at the moment? Because these fixtures coming up are tough, and then he disappears when it gets good.
Yeah.
Is it hold on to him or sell?
I think if you've got him now, you may as well keep hold of him until he goes off to AFCON. I got rid of him for sure, but that was kind of because I just wanted to. We were desperate for goals, and I just thought I've got more chance of him doing something if I sell him from the FPL team. So I did, and he scored straight away against Sunderland. So it done the job for me. But yeah, I think I'd just keep hold of him because he's our best player and our biggest goal threat. And plus, he takes.
There's a lot of players at a similar price though. Like I suppose Ismail Assar be one that particularly stands out to people at kind of the same price. Basically,
I don't think there's much in it.
No, I think if I had Ndiaye, I'd probably, and I can't see me picking up Everton players on wildcard, Sean. But if I had Everton players, I'd think I'd go the next 4 if I had Ndiaye. So United away, Newcastle and Bournemouth away, Forest at home, sell 16 when you walk into Chelsea, Arsenal, and then he goes. I think 16, you can look at players and look at something differential, like Kevin Schade as an example, not too far away in price, comes into really good fixtures then. Yeah, I don't think I'd flip him at the moment. If I had a defensive one, I don't know if I'd be looking to hide that at the moment. It'll be a few have gone Michael Caine, Sean. Is that the advice? Just hide it at the moment. He's going to be safe for minutes, I guess, until New Year. Or are you a bit concerned that O'Brien could take his spot?
Well, he had a couple. He just started to have a few sort of dodgy moments, and then it felt like to me like, oh, we might be seeing him sort of because he's been really good this season, but it's like Bramthwaite was meant to have been back, so I had Keane from the start of the season, but as soon as I knew Bramthwaite was back training again, that's when I moved him on because I knew that Jared would be straight back in, but obviously then he had a setback in training, and I'd already got rid of Keane at this point. But yeah, it looked like I could see. I was convinced that Garner was going to end up playing right back because just the need for somebody better on the ball was
Great.
becoming more obvious with each game that we couldn't win. And then Jake O'Brien is a fair bit quicker than Michael Keane, and then obviously he's bigger as well. So that obviously helps from defending set pieces. So I could just see a world where Michael Keane ended up losing his place to Jake O'Brien. I don't think if you've got Michael Keane, I don't think it's going to happen in the next few game weeks. But there is a chance that it could happen. But Moyes spoke about. He was asked in his post-match press conference about James Garner and whether he sees him as a right back for the foreseeable, and he just said no. He's a central midfield player.
I don't think he would come out and say yes because he's quite damning to the others that can play that position, and it's also probably not what James Garner would want to hear either, because I'm sure James Garner wants to play in midfield.
Yeah, but he did specifically mention. It's almost like he knew he needed to be more attacking, and he maybe didn't see Fulham as a massive threat from set pieces, but he mentioned he knew he was giving a bit away defensively from set pieces by not having Jake O'Brien in there. So it sort of plays into the word of the podcast, pragmatic approach.
Well done.
So maybe, if there's games where Moyes feels like the opposition are a big threat from set pieces, you probably see Garner play in the middle and Jake O'Brien back in at right back.
For those who have Grealish, is it sell?
I think, yeah. I don't, not quite sure why. I mean, I know he started off really well. He got like 4 assists in a couple of game weeks, didn't he? But like I say, he's a wonderful footballer, but I don't think he's a fantasy asset for me, really.
Okay. For those who've got Barry or Beto,
they must be mental.
All right. Enough said. For those who've got Pickford,
sadly, I don't think there's too many of them about, is there?
No,
because of his price. But yeah, if you've got him, if you'd had him, just keep him.
Carry on. I think probably, yeah. Alex, you got any Everton at the moment?
I haven't had any Everton all season, actually.
Any plans?
Possibly the Grealish move when we get to game week 18.
It's such a sort of move that you'd make.
I certainly won't be doing anything before then, but
do you know what FPL managers really need to hope for those 4 fixtures? They need to hope that Beto and Barry are both fit, because if one's injured, it's going to be, he's good for X mins for these 4 fixtures. Good luck making your mistake there. Yeah, to be honest, I'd be concerned for you, Sean, over those fixtures without Ndiaye and Gay, no matter how good they are. So I can't shake. I'm not quite at the point yet, Sean, of feeling like I'm going to be comfortable owning an Everton attacker for fantasy. I haven't quite found that moment yet.
Yeah.
But I also definitely don't think that Ndiaye owners should sell at this moment.
No.
I think
he's too good. He's too good. He's just too good a player.
Yeah, he's a terrific player, mate. How much do you want for him?
It would take a big amount of money. So
a few people have got it. Just saying, hashtag, he would make a lot of teams in this league better, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see him in more central areas for you. Ultimately, that's what I think you need to get him in the 10 position where he can turn and run at people essentially.
He did have a game. I can't even remember who it was against now. But because Diblin played, didn't he? Diblin played on the right. Was it West
Ham?
I think it was, because Dewsbury was suspended, wasn't he?
I'll check that for you. No, that'd have been game after West Ham, wasn't it? Palace at home, I think. I want to say, yeah. And he changed it.
Yeah, it was, yeah, because he changed it. Yeah, it just didn't work. But he was anonymous, and so was Diblin on the right.
But Palace are such a good side defensively as well. I'd like to see it tried again, and it's a back three, and most aren't starting up in that system. But
yeah, but I've got to say,
Alex's team no doubt will.
He's been better on the right than he was on the left.
I think he's done better there than you and I expected when we discussed the idea of that. And I like the fact that I had concerns about if he'd get into the box when Grealish is carrying. Actually, he's done quite well at doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's nicked a couple of goals off that.
And also, I spoke to you about how last season he didn't get any assists. And I think it was before the Sunderland game when I had a look, he was top of the league for expected assists.
Dewsbury Hall's underlying data is okay as well. I mean, I've been giving him a bit of pillars over the last week, so just sold him very unregrettably. But he's rocked up with his first DEFCON of the season, assist at the weekend. Apparently could have had more. What do you think about him as a 4.9 asset?
Yeah, well, I had KDH at the beginning of the season. I only moved him on because of the suspension. I was wild carding around about that time. So, like I say, Bramford was coming back, so I moved Keane on. KDH was suspended, and then the fixtures were getting a little bit tougher. So I just decided. I just thought I don't want any Everton players because I'm a jinx. They'll do better if I don't have them.
That's like me selling Pedro Porro before Tottenham played at Everton to return an 11-pointer just for you, Sean.
Yeah, yeah. I had Van de Ven, and I couldn't even be
Did you own him for that?
mildly happy about it. Yeah, yeah. Van de Ven.
Love it.
It's typical. I mean, he was fuming because he hadn't done anything for me for weeks, and then of course, yeah, he goes off against my
At least
team.
you started him. You'd have been double fuming if you benched him, mate.
True.
Gentlemen, thank you both. Pleasure. Alex, can we have a pragmatic correct score prediction from you, please?
Yeah, I think there'll be goals in this game. I don't think we're going to win it. I'm going to predict 2-2.
Okay, that's interesting. Go on, elaborate on that.
It is. I just don't have the confidence that in us to see out games. Like when we were 1-0 up at half time against Spurs, I was thinking unless we get another goal quite soon after half time, this game is going to this game is going to get away from us. We won't be able to see this out. And I feel I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same story that we saw against Forest, also that we nearly saw against Brighton, nearly throwing away a 3-goal lead. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get our noses in front and then Everton hit us where we're vulnerable and get a point from Old Trafford.
So
yeah,
a third consecutive Desmond.
It would be, yes.
Okay. Sean's not going to be that positive. Go on, mate.
No, well, our record at Old Trafford is horrific, absolutely horrific. So I can't see anything other than a Man U win. Sadly, I'd like to say I was thinking Desmond just to try to be positive in some way, but I think we will play. I mean, we went to Man City and Moyes had us trying to attack. I mean, we actually played very well first half. So I do think we'll give them space and they'll just do us. And Mbeumo in that area around Michael Keane and Mikalenko, he'll be a problem. And Fernandes just always has a blinder against us. So, yeah, I think Man U will win.
Am I right in saying, Alex, that Van Nistelrooy was manager for this fixture last year? Was Amorim already in charge? It was 4-0,
Amorim was,
wasn't it?
but so just to correct what I said before,
Yeah,
Amorim. Yeah, but Amorim's only game against Moyes was the 2-2 at Goodison. The only game that we have had a thumping victory on the Amorim was the 4-0 against Everton at Old Trafford. It was 4-0 last year, but it was when Dyche was still there.
Yeah. Yeah, Jared Bramthwaite had like the worst game he's ever had playing for Everton. He was shocking. And we were just basically chucking the ball into our own net on that day. We were horrendous.
Okay. One more before we finish, Alex, just on Mbeumo, because I think the big takeaway from this is still perfectly reasonable to invest. What's the thinking on where he played at Tottenham? In the sense he played as basically the left-sided 10, which I think is okay in the sense it was to accommodate Ahmad higher and play Cunha centrally as well. But I was surprised after the substitutions that he stayed in that position. I found was really intriguing.
I think it might have been a tactical decision in terms of pinning Porro back a little bit on that side, maybe, and targeting him as well. That's That's what I could think of. But it was surprising because he's one of the after Salah, I'd say he's possibly the best right-sided forward in the league.
Well, you're not getting the best angles from him in that position when he's got the ball.
Yeah,
that where he steps in from the right half space, like it's deadly. From the left hand side, that's not going to be quite the same. Obviously, he's still scored in the fixture at the weekend, but it's not what we'd associate as a Bryan Mbeumo goal, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was a straight. Amorim is often, I mean, for all that people say he's tactically rigid, and he is in terms of sticking to the formation that he uses, but it isn't half hard to pick out what the 11 that he's going to use within it every week, and he often comes out. I mean, when we played at when we played at Anfield, that was quite a surprise lineup that week. And yeah. So I just thought it was putting him up against Porro on that side was potentially the reason. But yeah, it's hard.
I'm surprised in that sense though that he didn't play Mason Mount.
I was very surprised. I was fully expecting Mount to start that game. I wonder whether because Mount didn't play at all against Forest, which again was quite strange. I would have expected him to come on towards the end of that game at least, and maybe he had some kind of issue. Like because Amorim is known for this using what's the philosophy of a tactical periodization, where he'll manage the kind of it's kind of like the fitness and training regime, where it's kind of getting players to peak at the right time. He's been very good at he's finally got Mount back to playing close to full fitness. He's got Luke Shaw back to fitness. People thought that Casemiro was finished 2 years ago. He's got him to a level of fitness where he's playing regularly, and I feel like often he makes these decisions, and it might just be about keeping Mount fit for that period, for the AFCON period or something like that. Be hard to know, but I suspect that it's to do with like the longer term strategy of player minutes.
Where do you think Mbeumo plays against Everton?
I think he'll be back on the right. I'll be surprised if he isn't.
That's good enough. Thank you, gents. Alex, anything you want to plug before we finish?
No, just Planet FPL Patreon if you're not already involved.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sean?
No, yeah, just the same. Get on the Patreon. Far better content there than on my Twitter feed.
Oh, yeah. Sean can say what he really wants on our Slack channels. Gentlemen, thank you both so much. Good luck in game week 12 and have a good Christmas if I don't speak to you before. COTC coming up for you tomorrow as well. Another big one in game week 12. Newcastle United versus Manchester City. Please note that it's going to be a late evening recording tomorrow. Anticipate a release of around about 10 p.m. UK time. Sees me say thanks again, Alex, Sean. Good luck, gents. Cue music, please, man child.